Yeah. When the U.S. withdrew militarily from Iraq, they left a largely pacified country. It was generally agreed by our leadership that it was pacified. They had their elections. They elected a president who you guys continually say is Shia, which he is not a good guy, but he was the elected president. There had to be a large segment of that population across all three tribes that wanted that to succeed, or it never would have got to that point. And as we know, outside forces came in after Hussein was taken down and started the civil war. That's what happened. The Zarqawi and others came in. So you had, although we all know this was drawn up artificially a century ago, you had to have a lot of people in there that wanted that thing to succeed. So now we're at the point where you have a terrorist organization coming in. What I want to know from you guys is, do you not think it is in the Americans' interest to see that Baghdad does not fall to a terrorist state, which would give it an industrial state? A terrorist group would now have an industrial state if Baghdad and all that represents fell. Do you feel that that is the main U.S. interest in the area? And do you feel that that's worth fighting for, if you will, to prevent that from happening, instead of just saying we're taking sides with the tribe? That's what we don't want. A terrorist state that's hostile to us getting its hands on an industrial economy.
I clearly can see that there is a U.S. interest in preventing Iraq and preventing Baghdad from being controlled by a terrorist organization. And the question in all of foreign policy is a question of weighing the U.S. interest against the consequence of action. And I think what we are both expressing here is skepticism that there is a United States-led solution to this problem. And I think the first part of your question speaks to that difficulty. You are right that when the United States left, there was a lid on the sectarian war. But it was a temporary shaky lid that came off the minute that we left. Why? Because Maliki was much more interested in settling old political scores than he was in running the country. And once the U.S. political and military advisors weren't there stopping his bad behavior on a daily basis, he essentially purged the government of the Sunnis. When the United States stopped paying off all of the different tribesmen in the Sunni triangle, that flow of money was no longer available, and it was replaced by money coming in from other groups. The ISIL funds coming from Gulf states and different rich individuals in the region. And so the difficulty is that, yes, while the United States is occupying, we have a chance at keeping the lid on the conflict. But that can't be an inevitability for the long run, and without us, I think it's proven to be very difficult to maintain that stability.
But do you feel that, do you feel that if ISIS, a terrorist group, gets control of an industrial economy, that's in our interest, that's a vital interest to us?
I agree. That was the first thing I said. I agree that it is not in the United States' interest to allow ISIL to gain control of the Iraqi government. The question is, can the United States stop it, and would we do more damage, not less damage, to U.S. national security interests if we sent back in an invading force to try to do the exact same thing that we were unable to do over the course of 10 years of conflict?
Would it take an invading force?
Well, wait. Let's inject some facts here, because unfortunately a lot of times our policy is made by fear. Let's inject some facts. The areas that ISIS have taken were almost exclusively, certainly supermajority Sunni. And by the way, they don't much like it. Baghdad is 15% Sunni, 85% Shia. There are some Sunni cities just to the south of Baghdad, but this whole region, including Baghdad, which again, remember, this is a nation of 33 million people, and we're talking about 5,000 or 6,000 ISIS people. This is 85% Shia, and this whole region is Shia. Now, what's going on in Baghdad right now? This is not a good thing, I think, but Shiite militias are forming. Sistani, other Muqtada al-Sadr is forming up militias. I think the reality of the situation is not that 5,000 guys with machine guns and pickup trucks are going to take over a city that is 85%, hating them. it's much more likely that we're gonna be living with this split for years to come.
Which isn't good either, you know, which doesn't serve our national security interests either.
I think it's